There we go. Yeah, we have the same. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. But I also have my Meowgarita because
You have a meow
it's Friday.
burrito today. I have dinner with the in-laws, and so I just have my second cup of Joe.
Are you saying you have to be on your best behavior for the in-laws? You probably should be.
Of course, always.
Can't get loopy at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Where are you located?
I'm in San Francisco.
You are. What part?
What part?
In
I'm
Mission or
Inner Richmond.
Inner Richmond? I lived there for 4 years. Inner Richmond.
Really?
Yeah. I went
Which
to USF.
part? What were your cross streets?
So I used to be a shuttle driver at University of San Francisco.
Amazing.
And so I did dorm at Phelan at USF, and then I moved to 10th and Geary, and then I moved to Clement and 6th and something like that. But they're all in Richmond.
Okay, yeah, I'm at 11th and Fulton.
I know exactly where that is.
Yeah, right across from the Young.
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
nice. It's funny, I have a...
bus station.
Exactly.
I know the bus station.
Did you ever go to Cinderella Bakery or Cinderella's?
No. So I lived there 2007, 2003 to 2007.
Okay.
Opened then? Or is
So
it
they've been around for like 40 or 50 years. It's like this little quaint Russian bakery on Cabrillo? Balboa.
Yeah.
It's like amazing.
I've never
Lots of good
seen
food in the Inner Richmond.
I've never been there. But
Next
I do
time-
remember Cabrillo Street because my professor would always walk backwards up because it's a hill, right? It's a hill, so he would walk backwards because he wanted to have the best calves. So all the kids would make fun of the professor. But granted, he was a good-looking professor.
Okay. That's like such a San Francisco thing.
Right. So random.
Just like, yeah, random, quirky, anything goes here. That's one of the good things about it. But how's Vegas? What's new in your part of the world?
Vegas is hot. To tell you the truth, I'm wearing this. It's so hot right now. I'm sweating. I'm wearing my basketball shorts.
Wait, how hot is it today?
Well, it was overnight. So right now it's around 70 degrees. It's actually really nice outside, but indoors I have these lights just blaring. I'm like, oh my god.
Okay.
Yeah. How about San Francisco? Are
That'll do.
the restaurants and the businesses, are they open?
Yeah, we're
lockdown?
in the orange tier, so like bars can now serve outdoors without having to serve food. So that opened up a whole new group of bars. Pretty much like everything is open. The museums are open. I think the theaters are open back up soon. And we can have like concerts again. Life is getting way better very quickly.
What about the bars and the dive bars?
Some of them didn't make it. But yeah, they're opening as long as they have like outdoor seating. A lot of them built their parklets. So it's coming back, which is really good to see. Like I work on Hayes Street in Hayes Valley. There's lots of bars and restaurants, and every Friday evening and then weekends they block off the street. So it's just like all the restaurants can push seating into the street. And it's like just, rejuvenating to see people out and about, enjoying life and wanting to get out of their homes after a whole year of this.
Yeah, gosh, so crazy. I can't wait to hear your story about 2020. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's an interesting one. Is pretty much everything open in Vegas? Like what is life like off the strip?
Off the strip? Okay. I don't really go to the strip, but I know the casinos are open. 6 feet apart, you gotta wear a mask.
Yeah.
The restaurants, I think for me, my life is in this bubble. I just order DoorDash and like Pizza Hut. So I've been indoors, like, look, my hair is so crazy. I don't know what to do with it. I'm like, can I wear a hat today? I've given up. I've honestly given up. So what do locals do? They shop online.
Yeah.
A lot of people are indoors, and if you're not indoors, you're probably going to your family's house. And like just enjoying each other, like 4 to 10 people max.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's almost pool season there.
Oh, yeah.
Are you a pool person?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I can't swim.
You're gonna stay inside and eat your pizza. Got it. That's cool. No judgment.
I'll meditate being on the pool. Hey, I grew up in Hawaii, so I've got a good enough beach experience. But the pool, it's not my thing. Yeah. Pool party.
Which island did you grow up on?
Oahu.
Okay.
Honolulu.
Oh, so
Grew up in
jealous.
Waikiki, right across the beach.
Really? Do you miss it?
I do. Like, just the smell. Like, waking up in the morning, smelling the beach, and like just walking out to the shores and just getting your feet wet. It's nice. It's a nice way to grow up. I was very different back then, for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. Do you surf?
Hey, this is an interview about you, not me. Stop switching this
But I need to know more about you, Zen.
No, I don't surf. I don't swim. So I used to boogie board, but I got stuck in a tunnel when I was in Sandy Beach when I was growing up, and so that traumatized me. So it's one of those fears that I have to overcome.
Sandy is scary. That's like a gnarly beach break.
Sandy Beach, yeah. Oh, you surf?
You don't mess around with that. Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
And yeah. But like Waikiki is such a great place to surf, even though there's lots of tourists in the way being roadblocks. It's fine, including myself. But like,
so you've been to North Shore?
North Shore, yeah, I haven't surfed North Shore. It's a little intimidating. But I've surfed Makaha and a little bit around Diamond Head on the east side.
Oh, how did you get to Makaha? That beach is closed.
Locals.
Locals? Okay. I was like, what?
Yeah.
That's the nicest beach ever in Oahu.
It's really nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, we got a few folks here saying hi. Hello, Ashley J. SEO video show. Oh, do you have your monitor up? You can have your phone up, and then you could go to YouTube so that you could also see and engage with the questions, just in case. Yeah. So we got some 2 minutes. Hello, Katrina. Hello, Shar. Cool. I was trying to find you on LinkedIn. I couldn't find you. I was trying to tag you.
Really?
Yeah.
It's just my normal name.
Meowtel.
Okay.
It was weird.
But I should be like linked to the Meowtel account.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, ClosedWon. Okay.
Oh, if you're watching the replay, make sure to fast forward 10 minutes in to start the show. Okay. Wow, I'm learning a lot about you. Surf, yoga.
I'm a strange mix of things. Is most of your family still back in Hawaii?
Yes, yeah, they are.
Okay.
Family.
When's the last time you visited?
About 5. I can't remember. Oh, it's been a while. Yeah. How about you?
Snag one of those Hawaii flight deals and just go.
I heard it's cheap. I heard it's very good to buy it right now, but I haven't gotten my vaccine. So how about you? Are you going to get a vaccine?
I actually got my second dose on Wednesday, and it knocked me out for 24 hours. I was like afraid I wouldn't be well enough to do the show today, but luckily I feel much better today. So just got to give it like 2 weeks, and then I'll be hopefully fully vaccinated.
Yeah. I can't wait to get my second one. I'm like dying to travel and get my hair cut.
You got your first dose?
Got my first dose. It was okay. I didn't feel anything. But I have friends that got like hot fever, 105, or what was it, 100.5, and really scary stuff. All right, here we go. 13 seconds. How How do you start a business from scratch? Hey, what's up, everybody? Zen here with ClosedWon. Welcome to the Happy Hour edition. This is a channel where we enjoy a nice drink while covering basic sales tips for first-time founders. Every week, we reshare motivational videos and interview entrepreneurs who constantly learn new things while practicing these tips to push their own superhuman limits. Our goal is to introduce you to founders and entrepreneurs. They will share their journey, their inspiration, their daily habits to show you how to follow a path made for bosses. Finally, we bake in sales strategies to help you generate revenue, methods to help you close deals with your first 10 clients. So real quick, let me say hi to the audience. So we got Hey Ashley, Jay, SEO Video Show, Shy, Shar, Katrina. If this is your first time, smash subscribe. So, how do you start a business from scratch?
I would say for me, it is a consistent morning practice before taking my phone off of airplane mode of sitting and doing a meditative practice for, say, 20 minutes. And it stuck initially by taking a transcendental meditation class of perhaps 3 days when I was going through a very, very difficult time. The way I'd encourage people to think about meditation, because it can sound very woo-woo, and I certainly was repelled by it for a long time, is you are sitting down, say on a couch, to practice observing your thoughts and feelings and emotions for a very short period of time, so that for the rest of the day, you are less emotionally reactive. What this means is you are rehearsing, you are training. It's like going to the gym. So let's say you're training for a sport, all right? So you're an athlete in X, you go to the gym to do squats, to do this, this, and this, so that when you get on the playing field, you can perform better. It is exactly the same. You're rehearsing and training for your day. And then when you run into something that normally would trigger you, whether that's a certain type of email, whether that's an employee who has a habit that drives you insane, or you being behind in your schedule and then the line at Starbucks is longer than you would like, whatever it happens to be, the things that would normally cause you to get really tightly wound or explode or berate yourself or other people, you will then start to spot before you have the reaction. And then you say, okay, half a second of breathing, let me choose my response instead of being held hostage to these loops and triggers that we all have. Yeah. So that has been enormously, enormously helpful for me. And there are many different entry points. I mentioned TM, that's one way, it's not the only way. Headspace, I think, is a fantastic option for people, the 10 minutes a day for 10 days, which is free. Or you could listen to a guided meditation. There are many good ones out there. Sam Harris, who's also in here, has some fantastic guided meditations.
Yeah, consistent practice in meditation every single morning. Tip number 1. I cannot vouch for this practice enough. It's something that's gotten me through 2020, being indoors 24/7. But now let's listen to Gary. Gary, tell us how to build a business from scratch.
I'm putting the work, but it's just me and my name, and I'm kind of struggling at
that's because
making the business.
Yeah, because
I'm actually a business, that's me.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, like, the way you got to do that, first of all, is produce content, become bigger of a name, put out all your best advice, blog on Medium, put out Instagram tips, do white papers on SlideShare, do Facebook Lives, Periscopes, make content, show your expertise, have inbound business, and just like with VaynerMedia, people want to hire Gary Vaynerchuk, but Gary Vaynerchuk's not available. Like, it's VaynerMedia, but guess what? Gary Vaynerchuk was available in 2009, 10, 11, and 12, and then I made enough money to hire other people, and then Gary Vaynerchuk wasn't available. So right now, don't stress about the semantics, whether they want you or your business. You don't have the money or the need to hire a bunch of people yet. creates such demand that you take those dollars and hire people and then just tell new clients, it's my expertise delivered to my employees, but you don't need me to physically fix your PC. Got it?
Got it. Now, real quick question. You always say that Facebook is doing much better for ads than Google Ads. Do you still believe that? Do you think I should, if I were to run some ads, should I go
You should
to
do
Facebook
you should do both. I think Google search is great for the business you're in. I do think Facebook is better for content and branding. You should do both, but first start making a lot of content. I need you blogging on medium.com about your thoughts of PC and your thoughts on IT and your thoughts on tech in today's society over and over and over again. Content, video, written form, audio, SoundCloud, Anchor, all of it. It's all about the content, Alex.
I feel like he's yelling at me. You're listening to Tim Ferriss's style of communication and then listening to Gary Vee. But you know, in a fake world, we're all looking for that like realness. And so it's really easy to hear someone message when they're authentic like Gary Vee. And this is why I love listening to his content. So my next guest has fantastic content. I perused her site and I actually got stuck on how to care for kitty cats. And I don't even have baby kitties. So today she's going to share how she started her business from scratch. Sonya is the CEO and founder of Meowtel. After 5 years of a successful sales leadership career in big tobacco, she quit her six-figure job to pursue her wildest kitty cat dreams. Today, she is a certified yogi and focuses most her time on giving back to causes that matter most, helping people heal themselves through yoga and saving animals. Meowtel makes cat sitting easy and fun. It's a marketplace that connects busy cat parents with trusted cat sitters all across the United States of America. She brings the perfect hospitality experience to her clients, to the kitties can enjoy comforts of a loving home. No more cages, no more kennels, no more growls and yells. You can now book your trusted and insured cat sitter at Meowtel. There's your little commercial there. Today, Sonya will share with us her journey and examples of how she built Meowtel from scratch. Please help me welcome Sonya Petcavich.
Woohoo! Great to be here.
Welcome to the show. All right. So my first question, hindsight 20-something years, who was Sonya from childhood to teen? Help us understand your mindset from teen to 20s, and then let's just scratch the surface. Take it from the top.
Yeah, awesome. So I was born and raised in San Diego. Growing up in San Diego, very much like growing up in Hawaii, you probably take it for granted a little bit. You're probably like, this town is so boring. All I can do is go to the beach. Like, I need to get out of here. And so I was very much a beach person. My first jobs were pool lifeguards, then beach lifeguards. And I kind of had a tiger mom as well. So she would make me, learn violin, go to orchestra practice every Saturday. So I was like this weird mix of like beach person with like classically trained violinist, like, OCD A+ students. And so when I was thinking about where I wanted to go for college and get out of San Diego, my top picks were UC Berkeley and UCLA. My older sister went to UCLA, so I was like, I can't follow in her footsteps for like everything I do. I need to go and be different. And so I visited campus up here in Berkeley. I was like, this is my place. These are my people. And luckily I got in. So I decided to move up north, which was, when you're 18, that's like a ginormous move. And you're just thinking, I'm so far from home. It's so cold up here. I can't wear sandals and flip-flops every day. Like, what is going on? And you can probably relate exactly to everything I'm saying. And it was funny when I was thinking about what I wanted to major in, I was like, I want to be a graphic designer. In high school, my hobby was building websites. So I had a basic understanding of HTML. And back then, like Flash was all the rage. So I learned a bit of Flash, which nobody uses nowadays. And so I was like, okay, great. I want to do design. And my mom said, that won't get you any jobs, Sonya. You need to do business. Go get a business degree. So I was like, okay, Mom, you're right. And so I applied to Haas, went through that program. And out of undergrad, it was 2010. So when I was looking for an internship as a junior, it was when the 2008 financial crisis happened. Mm-hmm. So nobody was hiring, even the Big Four, any consulting firm. They were like, nope, we don't need interns. So I was like, okay, awesome. So I was looking around and seeing who was recruiting on campus, and a company called Altria was at the career fair. And I really connected with the recruiter, who ended up being my manager later on. She was actually from Hawaii too, water polo player, beach girl. I was like, okay, I resonate with these people. And so I went through that summer internship where you're basically a consultant for the category representing the Altria brands, which their most well-known brand is going to be Marlboro, followed by U.S. Smokeless Tobacco, so Copenhagen and Skoal, John Middleton cigars. And they also own a lot of wineries, both in Napa, Washington, and all that. But we were focused on the tobacco category. Yeah. So, in that role, you're really just visiting your stores all day, your Costco's, your 7-Elevens, any store that sells the category, you're going to be in it consulting with the owners or key decision makers. So I learned a lot through the internship, and I got the full-time offer after graduation. And they compensate you really well. You learn a lot. There's a lot of opportunity for upward mobility. And even though it didn't really align with my values, I met enough people in the company who showed me that they have strong principles and values that I was like, okay, I can do this for a little bit and see how far it takes me or what I can learn, and then, figure out my next step from there. So after a couple promotions where I went from the Sacramento market up to Southern Oregon, out to the East Coast, where I was living in Richmond, Virginia, working in the corporate office, which is like a crazy world. You can still smoke inside at the corporate office, which is just like mind-blowing.
Must have been so smelly. Must have been bad.
Yeah, and they had designated smoking areas, but still, like, you can't get that smell out. And when I was working at that office, I was just frustrated by all the bureaucracy that exists in corporate America, a lot of politics. And I knew I wanted to do more at that point with my life. So I always had like an MBA in the back of my mind and going back to grad school. And right around the time I was thinking of doing that, that's when my childhood cat passed away. And I don't know if you want me to just segue into how I started the company, because that is the origin story. But I can certainly do that if you want me to.
Of course, please.
Okay, cool. So her name was Miss Lily, and she had moved all over the country with me, and I had been with her for a good 16 years. And she had, she was older, she had some health issues, but nothing too serious. And then all of a sudden one morning she snuggled up in my bed and passed away. And I was just devastated. Like, I couldn't even go into work. I was just like sobbing. Your child, when you lose your furry child, is just devastating. And so that was really the impetus for the idea of like, holy crap, I felt like I didn't give her the best life I could have. In my role out in the field, doing field sales, like I was always gone at least 75% of the time each month. And I couldn't find anyone whom I trusted, who could come into my home and care for her once or twice a day. There was no app doing that at the time. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to be the crazy cat lady who does this. Like, why not? I have a little bit of savings. If I fail, great, I'll just choose another thing to do in life. Like, there's always other options. I have nothing to lose. So once I found out I got into grad school, I was like, okay, this is my way out. So I quit Altria and I put my life savings into the company and found a technical team. And 8 months later, or about 6 months later, we launched Meowtel. And what's crazy is we're very much still running off like the original MVP. We have a lot of technical debt, which we're now cleaning up. But that initial version and product is what has gotten me to where I am today. So it was all thanks to Miss Lily.
Yes. So this is for Miss Lily. So
yeah,
this is all for her. Tell me, how was that transition like? How were you able to prepare, or did you prepare at all from big tobacco sales executives, marketing, to just letting it all go and then building Meowtel? Like, what was that transition like?
Yeah. Strange, challenging. So my downfall is I'm a very decisive person. When I know I want to do something, I just go do it. Whether or not I know how to do it, I just throw myself straight into it and figure it out. And so I had done, the basics, like putting together a business plan, the rationale for why this should exist, the competitive landscape analysis, all that. So that was squared away. And then I did like the basic incorporation and all that. But I didn't have any like startup network. I knew no investors. I had no founder friends. And it took me longer than probably most people because I went to grad school and then I came back and then I had to figure it all out with no money in the bank. But as long as you're gritty and scrappy, anybody can figure it out. So that shouldn't be a hindrance in making a huge career switch like that.
Okay, well, we got to unpack that real quick. So then, what advice would you give a first-time founder if they're gritty and they have the drive? How do you start a business from scratch? Give us some advice, 3 advice that you've done in the very beginning to start Meowtel.
Yeah, so my claim to fame when I was raising my seed round is like investors thought I was a very founder mission and founder company aligned. What is the phrase? Why am I blanking?
Founder purpose? Founder problem?
Founder mission fit or founder purpose fit. Unless you're really passionate about the problem you're solving, don't put your life on hold and throw all your personal savings and go work on this problem if you're not 100% all in.
Mm-hmm.
So it needs to come from a personal problem that was really painful to you. And one thing that, if I ever become an investor in my next life, I always think about what is nice to have and what do you need to have as a consumer of a product or service. So Meowtel, it's very much a need to have product. If you leave town, you can't just leave your cat alone. No one's who's going to feed it, who's going to scoop the litter box. And yeah, there's substitutes. You could ask a neighbor or a friend or hire a dog walker to do it, but it's not the same as hiring someone who really knows cats. So you have to have someone who comes in and feeds your cat. That's like a no-brainer. So it's not a nice to have, it's a need to have. And that should be like your number one criteria anytime you're thinking about starting a company is what you're building and need to have for your end user.
Right.
And then the second thing is, and I didn't learn this until, 4 years down the road, is how important unit economics are. Make sure that your go-to-market strategy makes sense and that what you spend to acquire your new customers, there's a short payback period and that they can turn profitable for you eventually. Like you shouldn't launch a lipstick brand when it costs $100 to bid on a keyword and the conversion rate is 5%. That just doesn't make sense from a unit economic standpoint unless your lipstick costs $1,000 and your profit margins are 90%. So really think about like, how are you going to get those first couple of customers? How much is it going to cost you? What's your profit margin on whatever you're selling? And can you get a payback period that's less than 12 months? Or ideally, within a month if you're a consumer company. So think about that as well. And then take advantage of all the resources that are out there for founders. There's accelerators, there's Founder University that Jason Calacanis puts on. There's all sorts of money and tools and things to get started. And then the people you meet through those resources are the people that are going to support you on this really difficult journey. My founder friends from Launch and other accelerators that I've done, they are my go-to people that I can lean on when things really are not fun. So take the time to put yourself out there. My challenge is I'm an introvert. I'd rather stay home with my cats than go network and have to talk to people and meet people. So that's been a learning process, and I try to, get out of my comfort zone every now and then, but COVID certainly isn't helping with that. But yeah, just always be selling, put yourself out there, meet people, and build your network as soon as you can.
Boom, right there. Just a recap of the 3 things. So quick, so succinct. Okay. So then, first define for us unit economics for those who who's new and aspiring founders. What is unit economics?
Yeah, it's basically the breakdown of what you're selling, how much those inputs cost, what you make on it, and then how much it costs you to do all the other selling activities to get you your customers. So for example, I'll just give you like a pretty crude example. So for us, an average Meowtel reservation is going to be about $100. We pay our sitters about 70% of that. So we keep $30 out of
Wow.
a reservation. And then let's say it costs us $15 through AdWords on Google to get that conversion. So our net profit after all that is $15. So we're still coming out ahead. It's okay if that first purchase is negative in your net profit. That's fine. That's pretty common. But just make sure there is a payback period and your customers are coming back so that you can turn those customers into the green after a couple purchases.
Awesome. There you go. We had a few questions a while back about how to start a business. And so this breakdown is actually very, very helpful on how to analyze when you're providing any services. This is the way to go. Unit economics. Very important. Think like a investor. That's pretty much how they think. So are you able to share with us like your current MRR and how did you get to your first users, to your first 10 users and then 20 users? Like walk us through that journey.
Yeah, so we have a very seasonal business. So I'll share our like ARR or the goal for this year. And I think this will be the first time we exceed $1 million in sales and bookings, which is really exciting given that we've just come off a very difficult 12 months with COVID and no one was traveling. So therefore nobody needed a cat sitter. So that's been a very nice turnaround to see. Vaccinations are making people travel more. But thinking back to the early days and how we got our first couple of customers, like it was all through my personal network. Through the grapevine at Altria, someone in a different function found out that I launched this company. She had a cat. She traveled for her job and she was like, oh, wait, I need this. And so I definitely dog food or cat food my product. I'm still a sitter on Meowtel today. So I was her sitter. She booked me. And it was a great way to learn about the entire experience, how the MVP worked, or most of it didn't work properly or as easy as it should. And from there, like we just did very, very cheap organic things. Like we would post on Craigslist for both the supply side, the sitters, and the customers. And that just kind of like started to get things going. And then I took a gap year between quitting the company and then going to grad school. So that allowed me to move back to California and really kind of like figure things out. And so what happens every year in LA is an event called CatCon. It's the biggest conference for cat lovers. People dress up in like cat cosplay. All the big cat brands are there, and about 20 to 30,000 people show up for this 2-day event. And so I went to like one of the very first cat cons. I think it's in its 5th or 6th year now. And I was like dragging my brother along, handing out Meowtel branded orange pens and postcards, just like the scrappiest
Guerrilla
things
marketing,
you could do.
right?
Yeah, like check this out. And just getting the word out. And through that event and like also the Craigslist postings we were doing in the LA market, that got us some really great sitters that are still with us today. And then the flywheel gets going. Once you have the supply side and they're consistent, they respond, they communicate, that keeps your customers and they come in and convert. And the funny thing about the pen story is my brother then went to grad school at San Diego State. Like 2 years later, he was sitting in a lecture. The girl in front of him was using a Meowtel pen, and he had no idea who this girl was. And it's just like funny moments like that you got to just laugh and smile about. And like, yeah, remember that time we passed out pens? Yeah, and we've come so far from that day.
You're growing.
Yeah, people are actually paying us. What? And so that's how we got our, first 10, 20 customers. And, bless our first customers. Some of them are still around today. They're just so excited that there's a cat offering when the whole pet industry is so dog focused that I think that's really what keeps them in our ecosystem. So, we've come a long way and that's exciting to reflect back on.
Yeah, you have a really great market. I want to go back to the MVP that you were sharing earlier. You said that there were some MVPs that you've created and it didn't work. And I guess this is a great way to go into our overcoming failures section. Could you share some of those MVPs that you've tried and how were you able to overcome that?
Yeah, so our first one, I had done all the wireframes myself in like, I don't know, PowerPoint, just dragging and dropping elements, using all these crazy colors, and then like giving it to our designer, being like, make this pretty. And what I didn't do as a founder, first time founder, is talk to customers. So I had this great idea that would keep me up at night, like, oh my gosh, what if we build this community where you can book a cat sitter and then shelters are involved, and then like, you know, you can adopt cats through Meowtel too, and then it just creates this nice I guess flywheel again. Because when you adopt a cat, you need a sitter because you're a new cat parent and you still want to travel. So man, what a great way to do lead gen to get these shelters involved. Did I talk to any potential customers? No. Did I talk to any shelters? No. I just thought this would work. So that was like a huge learning, is always sit down and go talk to people, or jump on a Zoom call and go talk to people and really see what their pain points are. Because what I learned is shelters do not have the bandwidth to entertain like a super small startup that doesn't know what they're doing. They're already strapped for cash. So either make a big donation to them, or like they don't have time for you. So
Yeah.
it's the harsh reality. And if I had talked to our customers sooner, I would have known that like hosting, which was one of our early services that we offered, where the cat goes and stays in the sitter's home, that's not what cats want, nor is it what the cat parents want. The cats want to stay in their own homes. So, I mean, we could have saved a lot of time and money building out that whole feature. So the MVP was filled with a lot of garbage that we got rid of over the next 2 years, which all could have been prevented if I had spent, you know, probably 20 hours talking to people. So set up your meetings and talk to people.
Yeah, I know how you feel. So I'm curious now. This is more personal, a personal question. What kind of questions would you ask your users? Like three most important critical questions that you need to ask every time you connect with a user.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back to what it was. Like, we didn't want to make it too narrow and have them cue in to what we were trying to like uncover. We kept it very, very broad in general. So like, tell me about your cat parenting style. How often do you travel? How do you care for your cat? All the way down to the food you serve. How often do you serve the food? Do you do treats? How often do you scoop the litter box? Do you have a litter robot, or do you have an old school litter box that requires a human to be there? So really, it was about parenting and their preferences.
Yeah.
And then we also wanted to know about their comfort with like trust and having a stranger coming into their home. Luckily, Airbnb has really set a new benchmark for this, of like people being okay with strangers coming and going, and all the other gig economy apps that, you know, it's always a stranger you're interacting with.
So far from Craigslist, right? The Craigslist days.
Thank God. So Airbnb paved the way for all of us, but I think trust is still a huge factor, especially for our older clientele. They will book a reservation, but then call us for extra reassurance that like, oh, we background checked our sitters, and oh, they're insured. Like, yes, that's what we do. So just seeing, you know, who currently cares for their cat when they're away, and are they okay with having a stranger coming into their home? What sort of details do they need to know to be okay with having a stranger coming into their home, and that type of thing. And then just a great question to always ask is, what is your biggest pain point as XYZ? So what is your biggest pain point as a cat parent? And actually, a funny thing we learned is that the litter box is always the biggest pain point. It's not sitting, it's not food and picky diets. It's just people hate cleaning the litter box, no matter how much you love your cat. So eventually our next foray will be into, I don't know, the litter world. We'll see. But that was really funny to find out.
Wow, that is awesome. Okay, so you raised $100K from Jason Calacanis, which you mentioned earlier, which is Launch Accelerator. This is one of your resources. I really want our audience to learn from that pitch deck that you put together on how to fundraise a pre-seed round. Are you down to share that pitch deck with us today?
Yeah, super down. So I just share my screen and we'll be good to go.
Let's do it. Yep.
Okay, cool.
All right. Do this and take it away.
Okay, let's see. I have to give permissions first. Sorry, I should have checked on this sooner.
No worries.
Okay. Okay, cool.
All right. And I'm gonna.
And can you see this okay?
Not yet. Let's see. Hold on. No, I can't see the screen for some reason. We have,
Let's see.
I'm trying to see
Let's-
if there's any like.
Let me try my entire screen. Can you see this now? I don't know why the keynote isn't showing up.
Oh, it's a keynote.
Yeah.
Shucks, it was so good because, okay, for the audience, just so you know, Sonya and I, we're actually colleagues from Jason Calacanis' Launch Accelerator, and she kicked our ass every single week. Like, I would fly out from Las Vegas to San Francisco, and everyone from Seattle, from Florida, and people from New York coming in. And every week, Sonya would just kick ass and win this VC pitch day every Thursday. And I really wanted to show you guys this. So maybe as a workaround, we could just pre-record it and I'll just share that on a different video. But to cover...
Or actually, I can
yeah.
share the PDF if you just want to do that route.
Oh, you can? Okay, let's do
Yeah.
it.
Okay. Let me know if you can see this.
And
Okay, I think it's my settings for screen sharing.
here, maybe I can do a screen share.
Okay.
We got this. We got this. Let's see. Let me do screen share. Okay, I haven't done this before, but I know that you did send me the PDF earlier. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Okay, now how do you do a screen share? Okay, we got this. Hold on. It's live. We're cool. We're having fun. And screen share, right? Okay. Okay. And do you see the screen share?
Mm-mm.
Oh. Do you see this screen share? No? Do you see anything here? Aw.
Mm-mm.
Anybody? Oh, it's okay. Yeah, it looks like I'm screen sharing, but it's not actually patching through. All right.
Oh, wait, I think I see something now.
You do? I see a tree.
It's the tree with the stones.
I see a tree. Okay, somebody sees a tree. That's good. So then, let's see if we could do that. Yeah. Not working. How about now? Nope. Yeah. This is my bad. I should have prepped this before. All good. I see an entire tree. That's all. But I am dragging this around, and I guess we'll just have to opt in for the why don't you tell us your experience with the pitch deck and how you break it down, because I know that there are certain elements in there that was quite important whenever you're talking to VCs and you're essentially trying to raise funding, and visualize for us the different decks that you cover.
Yeah, and with the accelerator, anytime you go to pitch VCs, you need to make it super succinct. So 10 slides or less, make it under 3 minutes, which we were always challenged to do every single week. And that in itself is a struggle and takes a lot of practice. But how I break down my deck is start with the product. So every great company starts with like a world-class product. Without a great product, you're going to get nowhere, no matter how good you are. So show off your product, demo it, make sure your voiceover is in sync with what's happening on the screen. And for me, I liked to record the actual app in like booking a reservation and having that as a video ready to go. And then I just talk through it as if I were a customer sharing my internal monologue of why I'm taking these actions. And then after that demo of the hopefully great product that you have, you want to really highlight the pain point and why your pain and struggle with what you're building and solving for is so much better than everybody else's, and really talk to your perfect end user. So what I get into here is how cats are the oppressed majority. They're the number one pet in the country, but nobody properly addresses their needs because they're not in the limelight like dogs. And I also talk about the competitors. So in our space, there is rover.com, there's wagwalking.com, and these are great companies. They're huge, but you can't apply the commoditized dog walking solution where it's like a person with 10 dogs on a leash out for a 20-minute walk. That doesn't work for cats. So you need a different solution.
Sonya,
and my presentation, yeah, go ahead.
I found a way to do it. So you
Okay.
just, I think I found out a way to do it. So if you want to start from scratch, I could just start dragging in the slides like this.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah. So it's ready. Do you guys see the screen, Meowtel? All right, take it away.
Okay, nice. I see it. Okay, awesome. So, hi guys. My name is Sonya Petcavich. I am the founder and CEO of Meowtel, and we are bringing the perfect hospitality to 100 million cat parents here in the US. And then you can click through. This is probably a static screenshot that you see of just the mobile app. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. That's right.
Yeah, okay. And the whole why we exist, you can't kennel a cat. And if you click forward to the next slide, you'll see that, exactly what I was talking about. You cannot apply commoditized solutions to cats. They don't want to go for a walk. And in my live presentation, these are actually GIFs to really illustrate and almost bring a little bit of comedy to the presentation to wake up the investors of the cat being dragged on a leash. And that really hit home for a lot of people, and they would chuckle and it would make it memorable. So in your pitch deck, you need it to be memorable. Investors see hundreds of pitches every day. Make yourself different. And if you need to use GIFs, use a GIF. Who cares? And then next slide. And this is probably the oppressed majority slide. And this GIF was a golden retriever patting a cat on the head, like, oh yes, you are the minority, sorry about that. And just illustrating that there's 6 million more cats in the US than dogs, but they're underserved. And then the $700 million slide, we would just say, it's so egregious that the dog companies have the nerve to go out and raise this much money and then try to adopt their solution for cats. Or if you go to rover.com today, you actually, I think you still have to book your cat as a small dog. There's no cat category, which is, again, mind-blowing to me. But it is what it is, and that's why Meowtel exists. So our customers are so jazzed by our cat centricity that this allows us to have an installed user base to grow upon each and every month. And then the next slide, you always want to highlight your traction.
Yes.
That's like the number one question. So hopefully you have a graph that is up and to the right that will impress people. Even if you're at $500 a month, and then next month you're at $700 a month, that is awesome. That is so hard to do. So no matter how small your revenue is, just highlight it and highlight it that it's going up, whether that's daily, weekly, monthly, so on and so forth. So luckily ours chart looked pretty good. And yes, there is seasonality, which I always point out, or that was a pretty common question. So you always have to be prepared to answer that. Like, yes, everyone is traveling more during Thanksgiving and Christmas. So therefore our numbers are much higher during Q4. And then you need to lay out a plan for how you're going to continue that growth year over year. So if you do the next slide, it kind of laid out how we plan to grow. This was back in 2019. And the first way was to release a give, get referral program. So, give $15 to a friend, you earn $15. The second one was finally releasing the mobile app, which was a long time in the making, and everybody expects a mobile app nowadays. And then our third way of growing was instead of relying on Facebook ads and Google ads to, get conversions and grow a community, we wanted to and still want to tap into the virality of cats. That's really unique to what we do. The internet loves cats. Why don't we create our own content and use that as lead gen opportunities? So that's how we laid out the plan to fuel our growth over the next 12 months.
And you're doing it. You're doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good. And then, of course, you want to talk about yourself and your team. So the segue I would use into this slide is, yes, I may come off as the crazy cat lady, but I have degrees from Oxford and Berkeley, and I'm backed up by an all-star team who's all passionate about cats. And this is really the team that's going to take us to the next level. And then once you cover the team, once you cover traction, once you cover your awesome product, talk about the market. Make sure you illustrate that the market is big enough to build a $100 million business, aka a unicorn. So what I would share is, cat sitting demand is probably underreported in the US. We estimate it to be about $6 billion. If everyone that uses a friend and family member were to actually take this out of the dark market and pay somebody to do it, it would be $6 billion, which is huge. And it's this big because 1 in 3 Americans own a cat. It's the #1 pet, and these cat parents are spending more and more each and every year. And then also, if you're tied to specific geographies like we are, lay out the map of where you're focusing your efforts, because you don't want to just do a broad strategy and spend your money in like the middle of nowhere. Right. Show that, hey, most of our cat parents are concentrated in LA, New York, urban markets, and that we're going to go deep there and get those repeat customers, and then eventually build into the inland parts of the US. But it's really the coasts that are going to take us to this next level of growth. And then after that, I think we went into our metrics a little bit.
Our target. So
targets
to 2024 targets.
Oh, yes. Okay. So, depending on what you offer, product or service, break it out by your whales. Like if you're SaaS, you can talk about your big customers. If you get those deals closed, you're like totally golden. Or if you need a bunch of little deals, highlight how you're going to get those little deals. So for us, our bread and butter and like the target customer we're going after are those cats with special needs, or the cats that require wet food usually twice a day, because that means the customer has to book twice a day visits. Our AOV, average order value, is going to be higher per reservation, and we're going to make our money back quicker on the amount that we spent to originally acquire those customers. So finding all the cats with special needs, the diabetic cats, the cats with kidney issues, that is how we're going to differentiate ourselves and take it to the next level to be the caticorn, the first and only cat unicorn company out there.
Nice. That was my favorite, the caticorn.
Yeah.
I think that's when all the investors are just giggling.
They're like, who is this person?
And the landscape.
Yes, and then I would wrap up the pitch with, this is what the landscape looks like. It's a huge blue ocean because everybody is just so laser focused on the dogs that everybody is completely forgetting that there's a whole nother species out there to serve. They need food, they need litter, they need care.
They need love.
We're going to enjoy this, wide blue ocean while we can and be the best cat-centric company that properly serves cats. And we're going to own this market. And I would end it on a very, not arrogant, but like convinced tone. Assertive, thank you. And you did the same. Yeah, you were awesome at that. That we're going to own it. No one else can come into the space. Watch us do our thing. And then that was that. That was the 3 minutes.
Amazing. All right. Wow. I cannot believe that we actually got through that. And for our audience, just so you know, she learned that from her gut, her heart. Like she's not even looking at the PDF. Everything was from memory. So amazing, really amazing stuff. That brings us to our next section, which is tell our audience how to find you.
So I'm kind of hard to find on social because I'm not a social media person, but
I had a hard time finding you.
Yeah. I don't even have Instagram on my phone, which is awful. I run a D2C company and I don't Instagram, but that's a whole other story. So you can find me via email. That's the best way. Sonya, Sonya at meowtel.com. Or you can even be creepy and create a Meowtel account and message me. Since I'm a sitter in San Francisco, you'll find my profile. Or if you want to follow my very outdated Instagram work account, it's at Sonya's Meowtel, one word.
All right. And then the last question is how to close deals. But before we do that, I'm going to play this quick reel on another sales tip. Here we go.
Sales.
Do not try to sell something that you wouldn't buy yourself. Okay? So if you don't truly think it's something that you would yourself be a customer of, don't try to pitch it. Don't be a used car salesman. So please make sure that whatever you're trying to come up with is compelling enough that you would yourself be deeply interested in buying that product.
All right. How does Sonya close deals?
It goes back to that authenticity. I'm solving a problem that came from my own pain points as a cat parent. And so every step of our funnel is constantly being finessed to hit on that authenticity and that, hey, like conveying to cat parents that we understand your pain, we know how to solve that pain point, and we're here for you every step of the way. So for us, since we're not in a long sales cycle like SaaS companies, we need to make sure all of our copy, all of our emails, all that initial communication you do for a user who's like brand new to your website hits all of those points that people are looking for. And that's like something we're constantly improving and working on. Like it's never perfect. There's always room for improvement. And so we're actually going through that right now, is just like doing a full review of all of our email communications and how can we make this better and how can we use more like copy on the website that people can relate to. So for us, the amazing thing is once they find Meowtel, they can understand right away that this solves what they're looking for and solves their problems. So they actually can, more often than not, convert on that first visit, which is awesome. That's what every founder should strive for. But for those that need a little bit more nurturing, that's where you just really need to make sure the funnel is tight and it, shows that there's humans behind the brand. There's someone to talk to if they have issues, and that the founder is truly vested in what they're doing and cares about their customers.
Right. It's all about the experience, and that's what Meowtel is about, the experience for the kitty cats and the experience for the sitters, and also the pet owners, of course.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us here at the ClosedWon show and sharing so much great tips. I can't wait to cut this up and use them as little bite-sized pieces because I've learned a lot. And there was just so much that I want to just dive into. Please stick around. Say hi to the audience. Engage. Enjoy your Meowterita.
Meowgarita.
Meowgarita. You still have it? The Meowgarita?
Yeah, I haven't gotten very deep into it, so I'm nursing it.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for having me, Zen. This has been great.
All right. Okay. So, closers. Hello. I hope you enjoyed learning more about Sonya and her journey to becoming a successful CEO, founder at Meowtel. Imagine quitting a six-figure executive job from big tobacco industry, taking a leap of faith to pursue a life of purpose, a life to give kitties around the world the best sitting experience ever, the best experience ever. Imagine building a business from scratch, building a business from zero to $1 million in ARR. Wow. I believe that this is a journey that anyone can go on, and that the biggest mistake you can ever make is to work for money alone. When in reality, it's your love, your passion, your calling that will allow you to start a company that creates change you want to see in our world. Learn and listen to these tips. Learn as much as you can because they will change you if you let it. So if you haven't done so, subscribe. We have great guests the following weeks. Rio Shiba. We have Josh Harkis, Eric Singh, David Smook, Amanda Greenberg. They're all queued up to show you and share their experiences on how to build a successful startup. So smash subscribe. And until next time, keep on closing. Peace. Becoming a successful entrepreneur isn't easy, but it's not impossible. Subscribe to my channel today, and together, let's figure out how to grow.
Bring that ass back like a boom boom